Okay, what we're going to work with now for the second topic are called thumbnail sketches. So we already talked about contour line, which is where you look at whatever object might be your observed focus, and you just draw the edges. Where is there a change in the shape or the edge of a shape? So that's contour line. And we talked about line quality, varying the thickness, thinness, darkness, lightness, speed, consistency, brokenness, beginning, let it fade out. Anything that changes the way a line can look is called line quality. So now we're going to still work with contour line and line quality, but we're going to do what are known as thumbnail sketches. So thumbnails are like quick snapshots. Artists will often do many of these in sort of studying how they might want to arrange and organize their viewpoint, the viewing angle for a subject, the arrangement, whether they're close or far. So thumbnails are used generally as quick studies. We're going to use thumbnails to just do some smaller sketches and begin investigating how you can vary viewpoints. So we're doing thumbnails and we're working with viewpoint, and that is a component in composition. Okay, so find anything. I just grabbed some things that were handy around my desk. So you're going to look around and find a couple things. I mean, stapler, really antique stapler, a clamp, a utility blade, pair of scissors. So grab something that interests you. So I'll just grab the scissors because they're easy and they're sort of interesting. And if I look at those scissors, what you're going to do is you're going to take an object and you're going to choose one of your thumbnail compositions that you set up. And you notice, by the way, I didn't point out, square, tall, vertical, more traditional, horizontal landscape. So I even made the shapes themselves slightly different because you react differently depending on the shape. It's called a format, depending on the format of the composition. And we'll talk more about that, but I already did square, tall, vertical, horizontal, rectangle. Okay, so now I've got these. So I'm just looking, I chose scissors. You can choose anything out of that group. I mean, you know, I don't have it on right now, so I have my headphone and mic sitting here. Whatever you wanted to work with, pick scissors. That's what I'm doing. So I'm looking at this first format, and you want to think, there's the shape, almost like you're looking through your camera. How do you want this object, your subject, to fit in there? So you could put it just in the middle of the space, but that's not going to be very interesting. So what I'm going to do, and once again, like with thumbnail, I'm just going to say, relax. Do not get all stressed out about this. So I picked that first handle, and I'm looking at how it has an edge I can see on this side. And I see it comes down, and the part of it that's plastic goes like this. And then that comes over and meets where I already drew. I can come over here and say, oh, there's that intersection where the other shape happens, and I can draw that oval. And once again, notice I am not going all ballistic and stressing and going, oh my God, this doesn't look good. I'm just trying to see if I can get my eyes to look at where I see a change of edge, because when you're doing a contour line sketch, you're only drawing what you can see that is an edge. So if I did that, here's that original circle that I drew. I can see that I see thickness on this side, and take that original circle down. Notice how I didn't stress that. You have an eraser. It's just a negative line maker. You can easily clean something up that you don't want. These are thumbnails. They're just studies. So I see I come down here, I've got this circle, this emblem of some kind. This piece actually continues down. I can see just a little teeny corner of it. I can see this blade comes out. And there's that other side of that blade, and voila. They don't fit. That end doesn't fit inside of my composition. It is absolutely not a bad thing. This is called cropping. When something goes off of your format, off of the focus of your composition, it's called a cropped, or to crop something. So that is perfectly fine. In fact, the way we see as people in this in the 21st century, we sort of expect cropping. It was considered radical. It happened in the 19th century as a result of photography. So you can see why it would make sense now in the 21st century, since much of the world we understand through a viewfinder, through a photographer's, an iPhone, a lens kind of perspective. So that might be my first thumbnail. It's aerial, I'm looking down. It's sort of filling the page in a diagonal. It's cropped in two places. So what you're gonna do then is you're gonna take, you can either stay with that same object for all three, or you can pick up a different thing. I'm gonna choose the same object only because I wanna make it more obvious in the lesson. You can choose different shapes, but if you stayed with the same object, why would my viewpoint change to enhance that this is a tall vertical? So it may be, and I'm tilting this, so I'm putting it at an angle it normally wouldn't be. I'm actually holding it. But you could imagine if I start, and I'm going to just loosely, notice I'm not stressing again, I'm just doing a loose sketch, trying to figure out, and this is going to end up cropped up here. So I'm just trying to figure out where would these parts fit. And I'm looking at what's there. And notice, see, I went off, but I let my line go off to help me. It wouldn't be in your composition, but that doesn't mean you can't use it to help you get your drawing in place. And I just bring that around, bring it down. I see a lot of thickness there. I see that it comes in. I can see a line here, so I can draw it. Because remember, in contour line, if you see a line, that's a change of plane, P-L-A-N-E, which means I therefore see a change of edge, and I can draw that. So if I do this, and I see it has thickness, I bring that thickness up, bring this one up. I see that there's that blade. Here's where that thickness that I need to come here and show that it gets wide there, and this is where you have that other piece of plastic holding the opposite blade. And I can bring that blade down, it's thick. So that double line could just show the edge, and here's where that line comes in, and then there's one over here. It's coming out of this thing right behind. It's coming out of this one right behind. And it has thickness, so I bring that double line. Now, because I did something that I shouldn't have done, I should know better, I just grabbed the first pencil. So I ended up doing all of these with really dark lines, a 6B. I could go back now if I wanted with a 2H. That H means hard, light lines. So this is going to be a light line. And if I wanted, I could find where there's some additional lines that show up, and I could make those. You see how much lighter that line is? You might not even be able to make it out in the video because it is such a light line. But I could do some variation in line quality simply by working into my sketches with a different pencil, not to mention the fact that you can also go back through. You know, I might say, oh, I want this line to be even darker, and make some of the lines really dark. And I might make some of the lines much lighter. You can also do, oh, there's my eraser. If you bought a kneaded eraser, which was in the set, and I'm looking for my kneaded. The kneaded eraser is the little thing that looks like a piece of gray gum. And I'm not seeing it right now. So we'll pretend this is a kneaded eraser. The kneaded one is the gray. You get it soft, and with that you can even lift up. You just sort of drag it over any lead that's there, and it'll lift some of the weight. So you could even make lines slightly lighter if you wanted to do that. Okay, so there's what you're working on. You're doing a page with at least 3. You could do 4 if you want. Thumbnail sketches, different shapes. Those shapes are called formats. So what format are you working in? You're doing 3 or 4 of those, and then you're going to do different viewing angles. You can choose to work with different shapes in each of those, or you can stay like I was doing in these 2 with one shape and just change viewing angle. I mean, I could go down to the point where I'm just looking at it as though it's flat on the table, and then it becomes this very, very flat, much more abstracted view. So that's what you're working on with these. What you want to avoid is a composition where you have this big page and just little drawing that's floating in the middle. Okay, very good.